And part of that served two purposes. Dad wanted a job where he didn't have to travel and relocate. So our entire childhood and Dad's life practically, my mom passed away there. That was the life they chose in that little town.
Welcome to Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy, a real estate podcast with the goal to educate, inform, and save their listeners time as they navigate the market and properties in their neighborhoods. Get ready to join real-life siblings and professional real estate advisors, Donna Reed and Eric Seemann, as they discuss how it may be simple, but it ain't always easy.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Hi everyone, Happy New Year 2023 and welcome to Season 2 of Real Siblings, It Ain't Easy. I'm Eric Seemann, Realtor with Keller Williams Heritage in San Antonio, Texas, and I am here with my sister.
I am Donna Reed and I'm with Keller Williams Southern Arizona.
In this podcast, we reminisce on how our life and upbringing in the small village of Lindsey, Ohio, impacted our lives and careers in real estate in the Southwest states we now call home. We also work to connect the two houses that both Donna and I lived in together with our parents and the two additional houses that Donna lived in with her husband and raised her sons in decades later. We have learned that our nostalgic conversations take a lot of turns, and in every episode, we hope that we are successful in providing you some expert knowledge of our markets while we share some history, statistics, and simply information about the local real estate market. And now that I got through the formal part of this, Donna, what is up with the shades? And for everybody who's not watching on video, Donna's got this big set of, I'm going to say 1980s style sunglasses.
Like 1980s, don't they? So I'm wearing them because honestly, I still have to have them over top of my regular suit. So this is, but today we're going to talk about goals and lifestyle, which is what our podcast is about. And I got to thinking that it's about 75 degrees here today. It started at about 40, but it's about 75. It's a beautiful day. People are out biking and walking, and that's part of the reason people move here. And you said it's warm in San Antonio too, huh?
It is very warm in San Antonio. We're a little bit, but I guarantee our humidity is higher.
Yeah.
And we're high 70s, near 80s, depending on where we're at. We're in the hill country, so we're in the 77, 78 degrees in San Antonio. It's probably close to 80.
So for my Santa Claus brother, that's like plenty warm. You don't care if it ever gets any warmer.
I'm not flushed and showing Eric the red right now, but I tell you what, it doesn't take much for that to happen, does it?
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about goals for 2023, right?
Which is why we have these really, really exciting backdrops on the video feed, and we'll talk about those when we get a chance.
Yeah. So for me, part of this that's funny to me. So you listeners, Eric and I, in many ways are alike, but when it came to the goal setting, we were very different. I have these 8 or 9 things that you can see most of them if you're watching, and I put it on my mirror. Every day I look at them. And then Eric sent me his, and there were 3 pages.
Yeah,
3 pages.
There were three pages with details and how one feeds into the other. And
oh my Lord, I don't remember that in you at all as a child. So anyway.
Yeah, well, and everybody who can't see, I like your goal number 6, and it's nice that that's just kind of front and center in the middle of your.
Oh, that's true. That's true. So yeah, and tell what is that?
Tell me, church lady, why are you writing a book called The F Word?
I know, right? So I'm working on a book called F Words. My goal this year is to have 52, one a week. And with words that start with F. And that came after a family Zoom, which is an F word. And then there was a lot of other things that happened around that. So there you go. So stay tuned, people, at the end of the year. Woohoo!
This is actually second one that you're working on, right?
Well, yeah, but the first one was very much related to life and times after Gil died and Grant and stuff. And that story isn't over. And I don't know when it'll be over. So this is easier for me because I write short little ditties. I don't have to think the next day what I wrote yesterday. And that's the way my brain works.
Well, before we get into goals, we talked about the fact that it's New Year's, and what do you do at New Year's? You set resolutions.
Yeah.
So when you were out at your big soiree at Star Pass,
Yeah.
Were there any
Yeah.
resolutions at the Jazz New Year's event?
No, you know what's weird, because this is 13 years of that, and now we're not, my friend is retiring, so we're not going to do it. So my resolution for next year is to figure out, for this year, what I'm going to do in 2023, which could just be sitting at home watching TV. But after 13 years of a jazz festival, that's going to be quite a change. I don't think I did any other resolutions. I'm not so good at that.
Yeah, I have to say I didn't either, but I looked it up and I went to a website that was called statista.com. You and I were talking before we started. What are the top three? And you don't have to try to remember the order, but you know what the top three are.
Oh yeah, to like lose weight, go to the gym, and be healthier, right?
And exactly. And it just is a matter of which one, which year, where are we at? So actuality, the way they listed it is that exercise more is number one at 50% of respondents said that. Eat healthier was 50%, and lose weight was significant step down to 40%. Now, it seems to me if you're exercising and you're eating healthier, the lose weight's just going to happen, right?
You would think, but not necessarily. I don't know. It's all together. We got to put it all together. And I think one of my goals, I don't know if it shows up on there. Oh, at the very bottom, you can barely see it. It's lose 15 more pounds, because according to all the books and records and doctors and people that know more than me, science, I should still lose 15 more pounds.
We should all still lose some more weight. Right.
Yeah.
Right. What surprised me is that further down on the list, and it just shows how we prioritize things, spending time with family and or friends was like number 6 on this list.
So isn't that interesting? Because we work for a company where they talk about having that be number 1. Put your calendar in with your family and friends. So family,
friends, and vacation got to get booked in, or it's not going to happen.
I'm usually pretty good about that. I'm usually pretty good about doing the vacation.
Well, so there's a little bit of being the carefree single. You don't have pets. You don't have kids. You've been doing this long enough. You've got agents who can pick up the slack while you're traveling. And it's plants. You've got to have someone come in and kind of water a couple of your plants, right?
That's it. My neighbors do that. They put my mail in the garage and we're good to go.
And for me, it's an entirely different situation.
Oh, Lordy, yes.
Not just me, it's my schedule, which I can be very flexible on as a real estate agent, but Jeannie, who works for a company who needs to request time off, and we're competing against other people who are requesting the same time off. We got to take into consideration my mother-in-law, Elsie. Is she going with, or we're figuring out what we're going to do if we're gone for a couple of days while she's here. And then because we have the pets, 2 dogs, 4 cats, we have to figure out who's coming in to take care of the pets and how that's going to work, and keys and...
Oh, Lordy, I did that one time for you, and you still had 2 birds and a lizard.
That's right.
The list of taking care of your animals. Oh, man.
It's like my goal list. It was multiple pages.
I'm sure. So let's talk about our real estate goals, because we did put them together a little bit differently, but I want to mention that Eric and I didn't really talk to each other. And yet I put down that I wanted to have a total unit goal of 35 to be sold. And you had 36. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
And I had 36, and I have to look at it and I'm going, I think I just I'm very, very symmetrical. And it's like 36. That's a nice even number. It's 18 and 18. And you split that by the 12 months, and that works out to 3 per month. And it all worked for me. I didn't have
symmetrical. Have you seen your office?
Yes.
There is nothing about visually what I see is symmetrical. So that's fascinating. But you're right. I figured that was 3 per month. And for me, it was just that I always say 30, and then I sell like 27. And so this year I thought I'm going to say 35. And I told you just before we got on that if I had sold just a few more this year, I would have been the number 1 individual agent in my market center here in Tucson. And so darn it, next year, I want to be number 1.
You're going to be number 1.
Yes, that's my goal. So you broke yours down, though. Then you have 18 listings and then 18 buyers or tenants. But what's the whole adults? Okay.
So I haven't broken down then from there to say total clients served, because I kind of correlated this one to what I have on my LinkedIn profile. Okay. So my LinkedIn profile, you know how you put your name in, you put all your titles in, and then you say what it is that you do. Kind of do that summary that goes on your LinkedIn.
Right.
So last year, I changed mine from I'm a licensed real estate professional, to I end homelessness.
I remember you saying you were going to do that.
So since I changed it to that, I thought, how do I relate that to individuals and individuals served? And say, okay, out of 36, here's how many clients it's going to be total, and this is how it's going to break down with 60 adults and 26 dependents or kids.
So that's how total client served. You're counting those kids as part of your client served. So mom, dad, and 3 kids.
Yes, because I've got a single mom that I'm working with right now who has 3 adults and 1 near adult child currently living with her.
Wow.
And number 5 with a grandchild coming back from Germany shortly. So that one transaction is going to be 6.
So that's interesting because I've never done that, of course. For me, it's more about the units and the price point. And I think, did we come up with comparable incomes also? Gross commissionable income?
Yeah, we had to have, because my GCI is around 325, or no, not my GCI, but my numbers are based off of the median price.
Okay.
Of 325,000 here in the San Antonio Board of Realtors metropolitan area.
Okay.
And trying to take that out and balance it, because if you work with a tenant, and I do, because tenants become buyers, and I have numerous that I'm nurturing right now through credit repair, down payment, setting aside money for everything that goes on in the transaction, they become buyers.
Yeah, you're right. That's our whole goal, right?
The initial transaction is far less than what an agent would typically make in a transaction. Yeah. And by the time you have broker splits and everything else, a giant $325 check may end up being $190.
Yeah. Well, and what's interesting for me, because I tend to be, you and I both tend to be referral based. I mean, we may or may not get a random one. Because of that, my price point is all over the board. And I've closed 2, which are down underneath what you can't see on the screen. And so January's already been good. I had a 295 and an 825. And this week I have one that's 396. But that's really a big spread.
That's a pretty big spread. Yeah. That sure is.
All across the board. So that makes me, I was thinking about lifestyle, as we always talk for a few minutes, you all, and then we hang up, then we call back. And in theory, we're not professional when we record this and we have it all figured out, But I was thinking about lifestyle, about mom and dad. So to go back to Lindsey, mom was Chicago, dad was a farm. They meet when mom visits Ohio State, and they wind up in the Lindsey Fremont area. And part of that served 2 purposes. Dad wanted a job where he didn't have to travel and relocate. So our entire childhood and dad's life, practically, my mom passed away there. That was the life they chose in that little town. Right. And then we could get to the farm and we could get to the city. So for Tucson this morning, I'm telling you, since January 1st, I've been swamped, like brain tired. And this morning I was with buyers who live on the Washington-Oregon border. They have Washington address, but a good feeder for us. We met the neighbors there who are from Minnesota, who live here 4 or 5 months a year. And in the referral groups that I belong to, which BNI is one of them, Business Networking International, a group of 21 of us have talked about who are our best. Where do people come from? Well, for me, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Chicago, Seattle, cold places. Right? Because that's the lifestyle they're coming here for. And if I passed 1 this morning on the way to this appointment, I passed 20 cyclists out riding bikes. I passed people walking their dogs in this great neighborhood over on the east side. That's why they're here. That's why they're here now. The military, we have 1 Air Force base, that. And so that's going to come and go. The university is going to come and go. But by and large, we are, I hate to say this, an older population, because I know I fall into that. But that's who's here right now. So for you have 3 Air Force bases in San Antonio?
We're officially Joint Base San Antonio, which is Randolph Air Force Base, which is pilot training, Lackland Air Force Base, which is Air Force basic training, and some of your advanced schools. After you finish basic training, you go on into what your specialty is going to be within the military. There is Fort Sam Houston. U.S. Army, 5th Army is based here in San Antonio.
Wow.
Brooks City Base was originally an Air Force field, which is now converted, has some still military contracting going on. You have Camp Bullis, which is a reserve training area for reserves, National Guard, and some others. And just up north of that, far less well known, is an area called Camp Stanley. And Camp Stanley is a really, really secure, limited access to everybody because of what their mission is within the military. So where you have a lot of population that comes and goes, our population is much more stable. Yes, we have people who travel, but we do not have the snowbird that you have. But I think part of that is what you mentioned earlier, again, while we were just talking before we started recording, that lifestyle-wise.
Yeah.
You've got the snowbirds and you've got the temperature and climate that makes it nice right now. We're 77 today, but we were 15 degrees
right.
10 days ago.
Way bigger stretch. We got down to 30. And for those of you that are, I start with my sunglasses because it's beautiful out. I'm still kind of cold in my house. I'm kind of a wimp. And I told Eric, I said, I probably should take my Afghan off so I don't look like grandma sitting here in an Afghan after I'm telling you it's 75 degrees outside, because I've become such a baby related to the weather and stuff, which, I have to say, one of my goals that I didn't put it on this list because it feels far reaching. One of my goals is to go to Sweden over Luciadagen, the 12th of December. And honestly, it's dark and it's cold and they do all that outside.
And it's perfect for me.
I know it is. So it's not written down. I'm still thinking about it because I don't want to be such a baby to not have a life goal happen, So
your trip on the Trans-Siberian Railroad into northern China is not going to happen?
No. And I'm not going to India this year like my pen pal wanted. I'm staying here. At the bottom of this list, number 10 is Caleb and Jessica's wedding. So I'm delaying some of my many travels to be at my son's wedding.
Do we have a date for that? Do you have a save the date that hasn't been announced yet?
He hasn't sent it yet, but November 12th. Yeah.
Oh, well, good. Need to let us know too. Some of the rest of us have to make plans.
Yeah, you should put a note on the family Facebook page. So, Eric, I want to ask you, of that group that you have there, your 86 people you're going to help,
yes,
36 units, are you focusing? I know you're trained in farm and ranch, and I know that you love redoing the old homes downtown. You go to a lot more meetings and you sit in a variety of things than I do. Do you have a place or an arena that you really want to focus in? You and I talked a little bit about bison the other episode.
Yeah, and I actually, because of working or becoming a sponsor with the Texas Bison Association.
That's what it was.
You get out there, you get on their website, you get on their newsletters, but it's just a logo. Mm-hmm. So trying to put the logo together that I use in addition to Keller Williams, because Texas is very, very sensitive in conveying that I'm not an independent, I work for a brokerage and who that brokerage is. So I've actually have that off being approved by my office right now before I can send it to the Texas Bison Association to start being into their material. So farm and ranch, where we grew up, farming. Yeah. You had lots of acreage. Yeah. You grew crops primarily.
Right.
And then we had some dairy. We knew the Nips who had their dairy farm.
Right.
But for the most part, whereas down here in Texas, we've got cotton, there is some corn, there are lots and lots of livestock. But the idea of a farm is changing so that if you're an organic farmer, you need far less acreage in order to run a roadside stand and provide organic product than you do to raise Black Angus cattle or Charolais. So what is a farm is a little bit different, and trying to go after some of those niches that are different than what the standard farm and ranch agent may be going after. But it also is considered to be transitional land as well as economic land. So you can sell orchards. One of Texas's biggest crops is pecans. So if you would be selling a pecan grove, you're selling the trees, which generally are not considered to be a crop. They're a tree, but because they produce a crop, and who owns the crop until the time of the closing, and there's very specific harvesting equipment that goes with that, all of that can be part of the transaction. So yes, very, very different, lots of different channels and avenues you can go to. I have a goal of hitting 1 per quarter. And of course, there's unimproved lots and there's farm and ranch. So I've got 2 clients right now that I'm working with, looking somewhere between 20 to 50 acres.
Okay.
One of them is
Just the acreage or with
Just the acreage, no house.
Okay.
And then with regards to historic, I actually have a meeting tomorrow with the Historic Owners Coalition or Historic Districts Coalition in San Antonio, of which I'm a part, preparing for the Historic Homeowners Fair, which happens on February 11th. And I have
that's neat.
Specific goals on my list for those type of transactions too.
That's very cool. I'm not as specific as that. I am not. I love actually where I was today is a 45-minute drive for me on the highway. It's headed toward El Paso, and I haven't been there for a super long time. When I get there, I'm always a little bit shocked by what has transpired since I was there the last time. So it's not outside of my area where I sell. I just haven't had a buyer who's in the $1 million price range that wants an acre, kind of rural, So that is interesting for me. And I have sold downtown. I don't know all the details. I do go to the mid-century events, that we have when we can tour homes.
Is the Arizona Real Estate Commission as focused on competency as it seems like the Texas Real Estate Commission is right now?
That's a super good question because I am very quick to give away something that I know nothing about, right? I refuse to pretend that I know something when I don't.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. And there are people who I don't think should be doing what they're doing. You and I talked a little bit that with the farm and ranch as you've sat in on meetings and things like that, right?
Right.
Is everybody qualified? Yeah. Yeah. I don't see any you have your business goal list. What do you have for a personal goal, Air?
I realized as I went through a goal setting meeting last week. So both of our brokerages, I'm assuming you have kind of a lender mortgage company that's an anchor associated with us. That is Gold Financial, the Hamilton Group. They've been part of our brokerage, working side by side with us for years. They had Matt Dela Cruz, who is a national coach and speaker, who came in and we did a goal setting last week, and we had the wheel of life. And it's like, here's your spiritual, here's your family, here's your business, and man, I laid an egg, literally. Have you done that before where you've taken the wheel and there's numbers on the spokes?
Oh, yeah.
And then you draw the circle and you connect them, and it's like, oh my gosh, when you have it,
550.
Yes, when you've got that number that it's like, hey, I got one that's in pretty good control, and then everything else. So I actually need to go back and review and add some personal, mental, spiritual things. I mean, I am attending the Texas Real Estate Teachers Association. That's one of my events that I put into place this year so that I can meet some other instructors and talk training and development.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and as what do you call it when you give out a little clue about what's next? We interviewed someone who has been a teacher, and she's going to be on our 28th of the month podcast. And it was interesting to have that discussion because you are also teaching now, and, she's been educating and all of that. So I think that it's fun and fair and interesting to learn.
We talk about perspective and relativity, I guess, and part of that lifestyle. You're from a big city now. I'd say we both consider ourselves to be from a big city, a large metropolitan area.
Right.
Easy to contrast that to anything less than 100,000 and say this is a small town. Right. So taking something that is, I'm just a small town girl, 28,000 people.
Right.
Contrasting that to the big town where our high school was, which is what, now about 14,000?
Yeah, I think it was about 17,000 when we were in school. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that was where the small towns went.
Down to 600 people or whatever. It's like, let's put small town.
Yeah. No, it is. It's a fascinating thing, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Lindsey is having like a homecoming next summer. I'm going to tell my 8th grade class group so that maybe as many of us can get there as possible. And again,
that's the year you graduated, right? You made it through school through the 8th grade.
Oh, shut up. No, that was 72. That would have been class of 72 when you're in a little teeny town, and it was a big deal to go through 8 grades there, right? So yeah. I'm looking forward to this year. I Maybe the traveler in me, the person that, oh, I was going to go to France in March and I just decided I can't, I need to work. This is our busiest time of year. I want to build more relationships with agents in other places, which you and I always talk about, that we can do that. We can help people. You work with your Michigan State group, which I think is really cool. You work with Santa Clauses. I think that's awesome. For me, sometimes it's the French speakers in other places and maybe Up With People alumni, but not as focused from a real estate perspective. So and it may be military for you too. I don't know if you do specifics related to Army or just military in general.
Yeah, my name badge that I normally wear when I go out has a real estate ribbon on it that says I'm an Army veteran. I actually custom designed my name badges working with a local Gold Star family military trophy business to make my badges.
I can't find my name badge. And
That's right. Everybody knows who Donna Reed is.
You're specially designed. Oh my gosh, that was sort of funny when we recorded with Teresa and we were talking about the size of the town and she said, yeah, that's because you took 100 people with you when you moved.
That's right. You took 100 people.
Yeah.
So, Donna, before we close, explain GCI. It's another one of those terms, acronyms that we use as agents.
That's true. So GCI is our gross commissionable income. And so that's not what I take home at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I'm paying bills. I'm paying my real estate company. I'm paying my office rent, errors and omissions insurance, a variety of things like that. But that's the starting point that I want to be at based on how I salary myself and everything like that. And do I have on there about buying I can't read it because it's backwards.
Yeah, it does. It's down there towards closing on my first investment, number 8.
So that is happening next week, God willing, and the creek don't rise is the creek in Arizona.
Yeah, I was going to say, you just identified yourself as a Midwesterner by going to the creek, not the creek.
I'm buying a condo over near Sabino Canyon, which is a really popular canyon, and Saguaro National Park East, and Canyon Ranch, which is an upscale resort that people come to. And I'm going to be using it as an Airbnb. And there's been glitches, just like everything else, when you're self-employed and your income fluctuates and all of that. But after our family Zoom the other day in a conversation with our older brother, I think that no matter what, I have it covered. It's just going to be how I cover it. So I'm nervous and excited. I've never done this. It's little, but we use Airbnbs or VRBOs for our family reunion every year. So I'm excited to get going with that. And then hopefully that'll be another form of income for me as I someday look towards retirement. So I can travel more.
Right. So you can travel more. All right. Well, I think we have anything else you can think of that we need to bring up?
I don't think so. I think that that's our goal setting. Just a reminder to everybody that based on this conversation, we do work with people all over the country and all over the world. Every morning I see houses for sale in Spain, and I've never been to Marbella, and I'm like, this woman is kicking butt and I need to go there. Just one more place I need to go and meet an international agent. If you want to buy a house in Spain, I can maybe help with that, So anyway, as we wrap it up here, we just want to remind you that if you're in Arizona, specifically the Tucson area, I'm here with Keller Williams Southern Arizona. And if you're in Texas or South Central Texas near San Antonio, that Eric is in that area. And we can help you find a home that fits your lifestyle. Right? Regardless of what your lifestyle is, a perfect property for you to call home and for you to create memories like we share each time we're together. And if you're anywhere else in the United States or around the world, clearly we know we can refer you back in Ohio. We have those relationships. And anywhere in the country, we're a part of an extensive network of advisors, and we'd be happy to connect you with another realtor. In the meantime, it may be simple. It ain't always easy. And until next time, I'm Donna.
And I'm Eric.
And we are
Real Siblings.
Thanks, Eric.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Every time I think about the places I have known, I realize that times have changed. So I'll do what I can to make this house into a home. Yeah, yeah.
Hi, I'm Annabelle. Val, and I want to thank you for investing your valuable time in listening to Real Siblings. It Ain't Easy. I hope you found this episode informative and enjoyable. There are several ways you can support this podcast with my Grandpa Eric and Aunt Grandma. Please take the time to like, follow, and subscribe. Additionally, leave them a 5-star rating along with a review on your preferred podcast platform. The final thing I would ask is that you recommend this podcast to a friend, a family member, or an associate. Your engagement is critical to their ongoing success, and they look forward to connecting. Check out the show notes Grandpa put together with their contact information, including emails, phone numbers, and websites. And remember, the Real Siblings look forward to hearing from you.